It was your crown jewel, more precious than the modern Fifth Avenue. We came as your slaves and remained your maids by day. But at night, returned home to the slums of the Lower West Side, filled with crime, corruption, and vice. To Black New York, the only light. And we stayed within our gates until it was unbearable to take. And then we moved on uptown. Black migration gave birth to white flight. At the sight of color, you were quick to scatter, but you left your crown jewel behind. So we picked up your pieces, restored them to greatness. From your ashes, created masterpieces. Never expecting that for your crown jewel you would return. A century passed and finally you learned Giuliani is your bounty hunter with a hidden agenda to purify the region to your satisfaction. The plan of action? Tell him the ground breeds crime, corruption, and vice. And then in search of a better life, well, they'll be moving on up.
Yo!
Pataki's the co-conspirator. You know they're inferior. Fill their heads with propaganda. Replace those white sheets with blue uniforms. Them ropes with firearms. And if that's not enough to get them along, raise all prices. Tell them it's the cost of renovation when it's really a gentrification. Legalize lynching, call it capital punishment. A public execution is the final solution. Fill their bodies with poisons. Call it alcohol, heroin, crack. That'll make sure they don't fight back. Have them running like rats. Tell them upstate is your only escape. And when it's all through, then you will finally have your crown jewel.
Yo! What's up, YouTube? This is Talking Crazy 88. Back again with another podcast for you. Been on a few months. Well, I've been on hiatus for a few months, gang. Only to do some soul searching and reflection of what my podcast is really all about. Is my podcast really about talking about how American women, particularly American black women, are detrimental to a black man's progress? Should we continue putting all our energy into talking about how nasty and deceptive and mentally unstable these black women are, particularly American women? Forget about black women, American women in general. So I had to really do some soul searching and some reading and some cleansing of the mind, cleansing of the soul. No, I'm not on that religious shit. But a black man has to go through a pilgrimage every once in a while. A sabbatical. Take a sabbatical. Take a step back and, clear your head with and like reinvent yourself. You have to do a cleansing in order to pretty much reinvent yourself as who you are and where you are in this society. And from when I took a step back and started listening to other people's podcasts and videos, and I noticed a lot of y'all haven't evolved. They haven't changed. You have one idiot talking about how black men are this and black men are that. This is a black man. Mind you, this is a black man talking about other black men, how other black men are sorry. Then you got some coon, who we all know is a coon, We all know this sorry motherfucker of a man running around still talking about how black women are violent and black women are not queens and black women, talking about the raggediest black women in the community. This is who he focuses energy on, is the raggedy, ghetto, low-functioning black female in our community. Doesn't focus on anybody else, just except the black females, the raggedy black females, the three stooges that keep fucking with him on a daily basis because, hey, he deserves to be fucked with. Because he's running around fucking with people and people fucking with him and he's not putting out a movie. He's supposed to be making a movie and putting it out and getting it distributed. You can just really tell that this guy is an amateur at what he does. It's pathetic. And I can't believe I followed this guy for almost a year. Well, he said some interesting things. He said some things that made a lot of sense. But then he just started going off tangent. Ever since he got that money and that white woman, he just went off tangent. And I already apologized for allowing my audience. Well, not really my audience. I don't have an audience. I have listeners. I apologize for for allowing this person to be a part of the podcast. But we're not gonna, like I said before in my earlier podcast, I'm not gonna even talk about that motherfucker anymore. Fuck him. Because if you don't, because this guy is running around, don't know what a coon is. Let me tell you what a coon is. And this is going to segue in to what I'm going to talk about, what I observed during my sabbatical. A coon is, and I'm going to give it to you straight, a straight definition. I ain't going to give you no long-winded Webster Dictionary type definition of what a coon is. All right, the definition number one of a coon, my interpretation, is that a black man a black male and a black female who debases him or herself for the entertainment of white folks. Okay. Definition number two, a coon is someone, a black male or black female, who constantly has to apologize to the masses. Definition number three, a coon is a black male or a black female who openly supports white supremacy and accepted white supremacy as their way of life, a way of living. A coon is somebody that thinks that, you get in good with the white man and you're in. You think you're in. By dating their women, going to places where white people go, hang out. All that shit. See, I don't do that shit. If I'm going where white people are going, I'm going there to infiltrate and obtain information on these motherfuckers to get to understand what they're thinking. See, I got turned on to black scholars like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, who that coon was trying to insult, trying to talk about her hairline, which is totally this is a serious scholar, and this coon is talking about hairlines in order to get into a feud with another nigga. Okay? See, from this point on, I understand from my sabbatical or my hiatus or hiatus from doing podcasts is that we gotta be more serious, people. Black men and black women, not the males. We got not the males and the females. The black men and the black women, we gotta be serious. We gotta be serious in understanding white supremacy. And we gotta be serious about getting our money together, getting our economics together. Because I've seen too many of these coons openly apologizing for white supremacy. Now let's take this ugly ass this ugly ass carpet muncher by the name of Raven Simone. Now, the bitch used to be cute. She used to be a cute little girl. I don't know what the fuck happened to this bitch. As soon as she turned 18, she was like, oh shit, this bitch is gonna be toe up from the floor up, man. And she had said some out of line shit. You know, supporting some bean eating spit who was on Univision talking shit about the First Lady, Michelle Obama, President Obama's wife, talking shit about how she looked like one of the characters from the Planet of the Apes. Now, see, this is unnecessary to make racial jokes about the First Lady, the wife of the President of the United States. Shows no respect. It shows no tact, no class. You just look like a complete imbecile. And this motherfucker had to apologize for it. But you know what this coon ass bitch was saying? This carpet munching bitch had to say? This carpet munching bitch said on The View was actually defending this shit. But you want to know who actually stuck up for the First Lady? Was that fine ass Rosie Perez. Let me tell you something about Rosie Perez. Rosie Perez is one of my teenage crushes. Alright? She's one of those Puerto Rican women. Woo, Lord have mercy. I'm still dreaming about her today. Even at 41, I'm still thinking about her. She can give me a chance, man. I'm telling you. Well, anyway, let me get back on Let me get back on track. Rosie Perez put us on game, which was pretty much an open secret, that in the Latino community, there is open racism against dark-skinned Latinos. Okay? Dark-skinned Hispanic. Open racism. They're just as racist as these cocksucking trash that is in this country. White trash that's in this country. Okay? These knuckle-dragging white trash hillbillies in this country. Just as bad. You know? Got the black folks segregated into one community. Go down to Brazil, go down to Colombia, go down to Ecuador. They got those niggas up around, you know, Y'all need this podcast. Rosie Perez actually stuck up for him the first time. While this so-called coon who thinks who doesn't want to be identified as black. Okay? She doesn't want to be identified as a black woman. All of a sudden, she doesn't want to be identified as a black woman. So she ends up being, this is the reason why some of these black folks in this country are so mentally ill. Because you got black, well, I don't know. You got people like Raven Simone running around in this country in positions of power who's looking at black folks as, I don't know, like a white supremacist would look at a black man or woman. Okay? These people are just as dangerous as the white man or white woman that you might encounter on a daily basis. So, when I go back to doing my podcast, go back to reviewing my podcast, who my target audience are, which is you, typically black men, I want you to understand that there are black women running around like this who don't give a shit about the black community, who don't give a shit about black men, who don't give a shit about you, black men. These are the mentally ill women that we have to deal with on a daily basis. Women like Raven Simone. We gotta deal with bitches like this on a daily basis in this country. So now that I got that out the way, that we know that this bitch is something wrong with this bitch, let me just move on to telling young black men that you have nothing to apologize for being a black man in this country. If somebody does something to you or says something to you that's out of line, you are not under any obligation to forgive, particularly if it's a white supremacist who want to say racial, want to call you out of your name, use racial epithets, calling black women sluts and whores, like this punk ass white nigga did, who happens to be playing college baseball, Bloomberg University, got kicked off the team for calling this young lady, Monet Davis, who did a fantastic job during the Little League World Series. Called her a slut. Called her a slut. Unwarranted. Unnecessary. Just called her a slut. No different from what Don Imus called the Rutgers University basketball team, women's basketball team. Called them nappy-headed hoes. Unnecessary. Unwarranted. What did this little girl do to be called a slut? Was she out running around sucking on niggas' dicks? Was she showing her little mosquito bite titties to everybody? I don't understand what would possess a white man to call a 13-year-old girl a slut. And from what I noticed in all the videos that I've reviewed, except with the exception of a few, actually took up for this young lady. And I'm going to take up for this young lady as a black man who raised girls, baby cousins, who happen to be girls, raised other people's children who happen to be girls into young women. This cannot be tolerated. I don't know where the father, but you want to know what's so damning? She came out, Monet Davis was being lauded as taking the high road for accepting this man's apology and pleaded with the athletic director to the president of the university to allow this idiot, this white trash, this white supremacist to be allowed to be reinstated back on the team. See, black folks, we gotta stop this shit. We gotta let the white supremacists hang. We gotta stop extending the olive branch to these people. We gotta let them hang. And if I was her father, I would say, baby, do not accept that apology. Let him hang. Because what he did was out of line. It was unwarranted. It was unacceptable. I'm certain he wouldn't be running around calling a 13-year-old girl who happens to have your athletic prowess a slut. The white, believe me, if he did that, oh, their white community would just be on him like white on rice. That little girl would not come out and say, hey, let him play. Let him be reinstated. So why are we as black folks accepting these white supremacist apologies? That puts us in a position of weakness, people. That puts you, that hurts me. When she did that, that hurts me. That hurt me as a black man. Because now I'm in a position of weakness. You're in a position of weakness. Because we forgive, once again, we have forgiven our slave master for wrongs that they did to us. Instead of letting them take the medicine, let them take the medicine and deal with it. Let white people handle their own white problems. We handle our own problems and let black folks handle our own business. Baby, Monet Davis, Miss Davis, honey. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be calling you honey. But listen, Miss Davis, stop accepting these people's apologies. Stop accepting apologies from the white supremacists. These white folks. Okay? He said what he had to say. He meant what he said. End of story. He said it without thought that you could be a 13-year-old girl and not knowing that this would hurt you. And this was a grown man talking like this to a young lady. A grown man calling a young girl, a young 13-year-old girl a slut. Most of you guys out here, most of you black men out here should be outraged about what has just been done to this young lady's reputation. See, I don't defend black females. I defend black women. And I defend the children who are growing up to be black men and women. Because they need black men and women like me. Well, particularly black men like myself, who can help. Who can help these children to recognize and defend themselves against white supremacy. Because it's all in our faces. It's all in our subconscious. When we watch TV, all we see is white folks. That's another thing that I need to stop doing. I need to just cut the cable. Cut the cable. Stop watching TV. Because the images on TV, on television, the images on television regarding black folks, we always put in a position of weakness. For an example, let's take 12 Years of a Slave. Now, many of the white people thought that this was a great movie. I never really talked about it in my podcast, but me and Sister Princess, that's who was performing that poem in the beginning of my podcast. I'm going to tell you how y'all can get a copy of that CD or a copy of that poem of her work. We discussed in depth about that movie, 12 Years a Slave. I never saw the movie, but her analysis was right on. Solomon Northup was just a man, a well-educated man living in the North that got captured by some slave catchers, brought back down to the South, put on a farm with a slave master, and was forced to work for 12 years under brutal conditions, under threat of violence, brutal, harsh conditions. And it wasn't like he escaped, or there was the plot of the movie that he concocted a plan to escape by killing off the slave master and taking off through the Underground Railroad with Harriet Tubman. No, that never happened. Solomon Northup was saved by a white man. End of story. Position of weakness. Black folks, slave movie, position of weakness. The butler, servant, position of weakness. No power, no influence. Never saw the movie. No power, no influence. The help, just a servant, a maid, living in the white man's house. No purpose of that movie except to watch a black woman in the position of weakness, raising white children. Position of weakness. Never a position of power. So when I see a 13-year-old girl accepting the apology of a grown man who ought to know better, and then not ask, but begging the administrators of the university to reinstate him back on the team to play baseball? You know, we got to start teaching our children integrity, self-esteem, self-respect. You don't let nobody call you out your name and get away with it. You let them hang. It's not about turning the other cheek. It's not all about forgiveness. You can forgive, but you gotta let them hang. You gotta let them take the medicine. At that point, that's none of our business. That's none of your business. That's none of my business. Unless he got away with it. Unless they actually did reinstate him. Which the administrators said, well, look, we gotta stand by our policy. We can't let him play. Sorry, he broke the rules. Gotta go. We gotta start teaching our children integrity. Black folks. In order for us to teach our children integrity, we gotta learn what integrity is. But I know what integrity isn't. Is that the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity out in Oklahoma, who got caught singing a racist song about hanging niggas before they joined the Sigmas. And only one white guy got suspended. The rest of them never got suspended. The fraternity house got shut down. This was a fraternity house that's been around before the Civil War in Oklahoma. 1859, people. And that's another thing. I gotta tell you this story about how I ended up when I was bouncing around from school to school. I ended up at DePaul University, and I had to stay at an all-white fraternity house, a majority white fraternity house. And I ran into a couple of brothers that actually joined this particular white fraternity. I'm not going to tell you what fraternity it is. I'll just tell you this, man. There's two brothers, well, two black males, because I don't know if they were brothers, man, but they seem they don't like to hang around black folks. These two black males who I ran into actually joined the fraternity. And they wanted me to join. Like, nah, I'm cool. But I ended up rooming with them for almost a year. And it was an experience. I'll tell you, that's all I'm gonna say. You know, this was back around 97, 98, where, you know, a lot of the white folks, you know, they were a little bit more respectful and mindful to me as black men. I didn't bother them, they didn't bother me, and I just hung out and drank with them. That's all that, I was involved with alcohol, white people in alcohol, man, free alcohol. They ain't never said some out of line shit to me or around me. Maybe behind my back, probably, but not around me. But that's another story. But getting back to these clowns, to these racist, knuckle-dragging motherfuckers. Like I said before, they deserve to hang. But guess who did a press conference? This white guy, I forgot his name, don't care about his name, fuck him, did a press conference to apologize for his conduct that was on the video. Now, while he was doing this press conference, I've noticed that there were about 6 or 7 black faces surrounding him. Didn't say anything. Just stood there in support of this white male who was part of a fraternity who all they did most of the day was sing racist songs about hanging black men, black people. Not one member of their fraternity has been a person of color, particularly a black man, standing in support of this shit. People have no integrity. Where's your dignity, black man, black woman, black male, black female? Where's your integrity? Where's your dignity? Tariq Nasheed was right about the coons, ones that actually openly support and date white women, openly say fuck the black community. Fuck black folks. Fuck black people. Let me get this white woman. Let me take $38,000 from people who submitted donations. Help this coon make a movie which never been made. Probably never will be made. Coons. These coons would have been shunned. These coons would never have seen the light of day. These coons would have been made fun of. Because there's no code of conduct. There's no code of conduct in order to check in these people. Or at least make fun of them. Or at least, get up in their ass. Because they need an ass woman. People like that. People like that coon that's running around on the internet making a goddamn fool out of himself. They need their asses whooped. Like these black males and women who stood in support of this white male, apologizing for singing racist songs about hanging black men before a black man joins their fraternity. These are the future judges, lawyers, doctors, teachers. Some of y'all niggas love sending your children to these white teachers. Where they can just say and do whatever they want to do with your child. Bring their self-esteem down even further. Further and further to the point where they have to go ahead and commit crimes, prove their manhood, have babies to prove their womanhood. Integrity and dignity. It's missing. It's gone. See, I'm not going to even talk about Taraji P. Henson, who I followed her career for a number of years. Became a big star on that ridiculous show, Empire. Only saw about 2 episodes of that shit. I would never watch anything that faggot Lee Daniels, who happens to be a film director, would never watch anything that faggot produces or makes. I don't trust faggots. I don't trust coon faggots. And I certainly don't trust white folks. And as a black man, you should be, and as a black man, and as a black woman, you should be mistrustful of all white people who you work with, who you live with, who has access to your children, who's teaching your children. You should be suspicious. Black folks, y'all should be at that PTA meeting just to find out what the fuck is going on in that school and what the fuck is going on in that classroom. You should find out everything what this motherfucker is teaching your child, or what they're doing to your child to bring down that child's self-esteem. Okay? Shit, it's only 1:45 in the morning. Let me go ahead and get the fuck up out of here. I've done my 40 minutes of this shit. Oh, hang on, let me just get the fuck up out of here. Listen, gang. My hiatus is over. I'm gonna start doing podcasts, and I might post some podcasts up that I recorded within the interim during my hiatus. I was too lazy to post it. I wouldn't say lazy. I would just say I was doing other things besides podcasting. I have about 8, 9, 10 different things that I'm doing. And I should be podcasting, but I just rather listen to y'all and find out what y'all think. What's on your mind. And if you're about a person of action, then hey, I'm with you. Give me a call. Send me a new email. See, what can I do to help further your cause? See, black folks, we need to start networking like this. We need to start networking with each other. We need to start, and I'm gonna keep talking about it until I'm blue in the face, man. We need to just start leaving the males and the females alone. We need to we need to leave the coons alone. We need to leave the white supremacists alone. And we need to start thinking about building our economy locally and internationally. We need to start reconnecting with our cousins overseas. Okay? We need to start making plans because 2016 is coming up soon. President Obama is going to be out of office. And there's going to be a white man who happens to be a Republican coming back into office. That's all I'm saying, people. Well, listen, let me get the fuck up out of here. Oh, yeah, before I go, this message is going to be for Black Pride. Pride, man. I've been listening to your videos for a while. Enjoy your videos, man. Enjoy your videos. You crazy motherfucker out in LA. I ain't fucking with you. That's why I'm in New York. Brother, keep putting out those videos, man. Brothers like myself, particularly the young brothers. Forget about me. The young brothers gonna need your information, man, on how to make money, how to sustain themselves, how to understand that you got to keep, as a black man, you got to keep busy, you got to have a job, a career, and several businesses. Always be making money. Okay? Find ways to make money. Own shit. I would like to see you do more videos on that. But hey, that's okay, man. I do your thing, man. That's your channel. That's you do whatever you need to do. You do what you feel like doing. And brother, you have my support. I'm gonna be listening to you. Well, listen, let me get the fuck up out of here. This is Talking Crazy 88. And I am out of here, people.